Cold, icy winds are blowing, light is failing, and Jorben Ironhelm is in need of rest. It's too far to the nearest civilized area. Even a farm barn would be a luxury at this point. The ground is sodden, and the only flat and dry area for a camp is the ruin of an old bothy, which sits a short distance away. The old walls offer some protection from the wind, and soon a warming campfire is set, and Jorben settles in. As the last light of day fades, Jorben, a serious dwarf fighter, former soldier, surveys the area, lights a fire, and sets some tea to boil. "Hello, friend," Martin Rest appears. A lanky human in leather armor, carries himself with too much ease for Jorben's taste, but he's polite enough, and Jorben agrees to share the fire with the stranger. The snow blows and the wind howls, and soon underneath it is the sound of heavy boots and the metallic rustle of chainmail. A half-orc emerges from the fading light beyond the campfire, Araga Dragul. Jorben is on his feet, shield in hand, reaching for his great axe. Iraga holds up both hands, signing peace. Martin inserts himself between the two. "Come now, Jorben, I'm sure she's just a traveler, looking for shelter like us." Martin handles introductions. "I'm Martin. This is my old friend, Jorben. And you are?" "Iraga," she says, "priestess of Saint Taragnus." The three settle around the campfire. The sun sets, eyelids begin to droop, when a goblin in a pointy hat marches into camp. Jorben is on his feet. "Please," says the goblin, "remain seated. The great Zaldini will tolerate your presence this fine evening." Jordan grumbles. "A thief is bad enough, a half-orc is another thing, but a goblin is too much." The goblin is already snoring. Martin and Iraga do not stir. Jorben harumphs and sits down. He stares at the fire for a while and then drifts off himself into an uncharacteristic deep slumber. Jorben wakes with a start to a moonless, starless night. The air is now still. He blinks and tries to focus. The light of the campfire ends too soon at a darkness that feels too close. A thick fog curls just at the edge of the light. The ruin of the bothy, underlit by the fire, constrained by the darkness, and shrouded by fog, no longer feels sheltering. It feels sinister. One by one, they all awake. All right, welcome everybody to our first playthrough, January's adventure in the calendar of many adventures. So here we are. In the spirit of Shadowdark, rather than doing perception checks, I'm going to just roll to see who notices certain things. So let's get a 1d4. Somebody's going to notice the fire, too. That'll be Martin. Martin notices the fire is not throwing heat, and it hasn't burned down at all. It doesn't seem to be, in fact, consuming fuel. And then Martin again. Let's roll somebody else. 3. That'd be Iraga. Iraga notices that some of the gear is not her own. Her bedroll isn't threadbare in the right places. Her camp kit isn't dented and bent from use. It's all very generic. Nothing's missing, but in fact everyone finds similar odd incongruities. We have a few minutes before the first ghostly visitation. So I imagine Martin instinctively slips into shadows where, the firelight reaches to about here. Maybe he just steps over here. Or, puts some of this wall between him and the darkness. Who else? Jorben and Iraga, I think, would take up torches and step to the edges of the shadow of the darkness. And I think, let's see, Jorben takes a torch and moves. The light reaches. The light in this scenario, normally a campfire would extend at least 30 feet, which would put it a significant distance out here. But in our case, it's only reaching 10 feet in this weird, evil haunting that is taking place. So Jorben moves just beyond. He's got a torch, so the campfire extends here. Maybe he moves up around here. Iraga would move in the opposite direction. She's on this side of the fire. The question for Iraga, well, we'll get to her in a second. So maybe she just moves this way. And then Zaldini. I think Zaldini, for all his bluster, has a very strong sense of self-preservation. Some might unkindly call cowardice. So he moves closer to the campfire, despite its current impotence. So back to Iraga. The question we need to resolve is, she's over here, there's a special tile here in this scenario. Underneath it is a magic dagger that glows, and it's casting light. The dagger itself casts light in a 5-foot radius, so it's not very far. Iraga's torch does reach that far. I had her just move directly west, so in this case she would see it. So I'm not even going to roll an oracle or everything. She just moved left, and her torch would reach that far. It normally reach much further, like I said, but in this scenario their torchlight is very cramped. So she would see that. It's within the torchlight. It's glowing itself, and so she moves to the tile. Maybe she calls to some others. Martin, of course, would be curious. Does he move out of the shadows? So this is an oracle roll. Let's do this. We got the Shadowdark oracle from the SoloRPG rules. We're going to roll a 20-sided die, and the question is, does Martin, is he too worried about what's going on? Does he stay in the shadows as his instincts want to tell him, or is he overpowered by his urge to see what this glowing thing might be? So does he move over there is the question, and on a 1 to 9 it's a no, and 11 to 20 is a yes. It's a 14, so that's a yes, and so he's gonna move. I don't know. He just reconvenes with Iraga up here. Jorben, I think Jorben would have let them explore on their own what that is. Next question: does Zaldini move over to join Martin and Iraga? 11. That's a yes. An odd number in the SoloRPG oracle indicates a yes, but. So Zaldini, yes, he does move over, but perhaps he keeps some distance. So he's gonna make a compromise between the campfire and the treasure. Maybe he's just gonna look over their shoulders. He's hugging the wall here for some instinctive safety. Jorben doesn't have line of sight. I believe these walls are tall enough to block line of sight. I should probably check that. You know what? I'm just going to say that they do, I think, because it'll make this area a more interesting scenario. So yeah, I'm going to let the walls block line of sight. They can climb up on them. They're a little unstable, but so Jordan's going to move to get some line of sight on them, but also keep an eye on the darkness. And let's see, what do they find? Who pries open? Martin's over there. I think he's gonna go for it. Martin pries up the tile, and maybe Iraga even takes a step back with some instinctive concern. Her light still reaches there. Martin pries open the tile, and underneath they find, like I said, a glowing dagger, but also a bag containing some gold coins. So they now have the Dawn Blade. The Dawn Blade is a +1 dagger. It does 1d6 +1 radiant damage. Radiant damage is a Dungeons & Dragons damage type. In Shadowdark, we don't have damage types, I believe, so we'll just call it holy damage. Our monsters in this adventure are vulnerable to radiant damage, so I'm just going to call it a holy dagger, and it does holy damage, and these guys are vulnerable to holy damage. So our priest, Iraga, has a secret. Or maybe not a secret for her so much, but a mission. Her mission has been to, where is Araga? Here's Araga. No, that's Martin. Here's Araga. To the Church of St. Teragnus will pay for the return of a relic. Or perhaps Araga is looking for a promotion or some clout within the church. And the question then is this blade the relic that she's been seeking? I'm going to say that, well, I don't know. We want to choose some odds here. Likely or unlikely. I'm going to say it's unlikely that this is the blade she's looking for. So in an unlikely scenario, we roll for the SoloDark Oracle, we roll 2 20-sided die, and we take the lowest. They're both 4. Both are no, and it's an even number, so it's not a no but. So it's just a flat no. This is not the relic that the church is seeking. That doesn't mean it's not a relic of St. Teragnus. We can worry about that later, I suppose. But here we have a Dawnblade. It does holy damage. Everybody in Shadowdark, all of the classes I'm using, Wizard, Priest, Rogue, and Fighter, they can all use a dagger. Araga and Martin are here. I suppose when Martin probably takes a step back from this glowing holy dagger. Martin, I think, as a rogue, wouldn't be particularly interested in a dagger that sheds light. So Zaldini is his alignment is chaotic, so he may be naturally put off by the power that's coming off of this thing, but Araga would be drawn to it. So I'm going to say Araga moves in, picks up the dagger, while Martin picks up the bag of coins, and he's examining the coins. Maybe he's weighing them, trying to figure out how many are in there when we have our first visitation. 3 ghostly figures appear. Initially, the adventure says the ghosts are incorporeal and will attempt to thoroughly demoralize the characters by making unflattering comparisons and asserting their supremacy before they attack. So, first question is, where do they appear? The adventure gives us a little bit of a table to roll to see on which edge and tile these things appear, and the first ghost appears on the north edge. And we're gonna do a 12-sided die. Let's see where. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. First ghost appears here. Maybe that's the wizard. There's a heroic wizard. And then we'll do the same for the other 2, 3. So that's gonna be 1, 2, 3. South edge, always close. And 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's too many. 12-sided die. 8. So he's going to be here. We've got a soldier, heroic warrior that appears down here. And the second soldier, 4, appears on the west edge at 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Very close. Wow. Okay. And they attempt to demoralize the characters by making unflattering comparisons and asserting their supremacy. So I don't know. Unflattering comparisons. Maybe the wizard is like, I will he can't even see them. Maybe he moves over. Let's give him line of sight. I will cast magic far better than you, Zaldini. The soldier taunts Jorben. I doubt you even know how to swing that axe. This is kind of silly. The dungeon. This is supposed to be far more sinister. I just don't think I can bring myself to do it. So here we go. Each character, it says, the adventurer must pass a wisdom check or suffer 3d4 psychic damage from this vicious abuse. Now, our first level adventurers. This adventure is written for level 5 to 7. It's 3d4 psychic damage would just outright kill Martin, and let's see, Zaldini. Jorben would probably could survive. He might kill him as well. 3d4. It could kill everybody. Just with some unflattering comparisons. So I'm gonna scale that way down. We'll do our checks, but I'm gonna have them take just 1 point of damage from this. Even that seems like a lot. But here we go. So there's only 3 of them. Who do they not taunt? Well, I think they'll go ahead. I think they're gonna taunt everybody with multiple taunts, despite my lack of creativity on who they talked to and what they said. So we want to do, the adventure says do a DC 15 check. That's in Dungeons and Dragons terms. So I'm gonna scale that down to a Shadowdark. That's a DC 12 check. So, and this is a wisdom check. So we'll start with Martin just because he's on the top of my pile here. So we're gonna roll a 20-sided die plus 1, 18, 19. He beats, what did I say? 12. So Martin's good. We've got Zaldini. He's got a -1 to his wisdom, but he rolls a natural 20. Oh, I forgot. These guys all have luck tokens, by the way. I don't think I wrote it down here anywhere on the page, so let's keep track of that. They each have 1 luck token. In Shadowdark, they can use a luck token to re-roll a check like this. Zaldini would have gotten a luck token for rolling a 20 according to the Shadowdark rules, but we already have the maximum that we can have. We can have a maximum of 4 in the whole party because we have 4 players. Okay, so Zaldini makes the check. Jorben has a +1 to wisdom. Does he make the check? 9, 10, and no, he doesn't. So the ghost finds he presses Jorben's buttons, and Jorben, let's do HP over here. Jorben is down to 9 HP right off the bat. That insult really hurt. Somehow, psychic damage gives him a little bit of a headache, I guess. All right. And last but not least, Iraga, who has a +2 to her wisdom, and she fails. Okay, so Iraga fails the roll. She takes a point of damage as well. That really hurts her because she's only got 5 health, so she's down to 4 right off the bat. This might have been a bad idea. Probably should have had them just fight with disadvantage or something for a round. Should we do that instead? Well, we'll just go with it here. That probably would have been a better idea, but here we go. Now we're in combat. So we're gonna roll initiative. The SoloDark rules have you pick a representative member of each group, and I'm just gonna, the natural thing to do would be to pick the person with the best dexterity, because dexterity influences your reaction times, and on a player team, that's Martin, so he gets a +4. 9 + 4 is 13. And then of these monsters, I am using the stat blocks from Shadowdark for the peasant and the cultist. So dexterity +0 and dexterity -1 for the cultist. So no bonus or malice for the ghosts. So 3, so the party gets to go first. And so these guys obviously somehow corporeate, is that a word? And it's obvious they're gonna attack. So Iraga, there's no negotiating with undead ghosts who are insulting you, I suppose. So Iraga, who's closest? What we would normally do is, so one of the ways to do this in Shadowdark with group initiative is everybody can discuss what they do. Actually, in the SoloDark rules, it actually says you get to decide who does what first. Is Iraga gonna wield the Dawnblade? I suppose she is. She's got it in her hand, and I think her natural reaction would just be to close with this guy. She's got a torch in one hand. I have to remember that because some of these folks on the pre-generated characters, their armor class includes their shield, which bumps their AC up by 2. So I'm going to try to remember that. But Iraga closes. She swings this Dawnblade at this soldier. She gets a +3 because it's a strength attack, a +1 because she's a half-orc, and another +1 because the dagger is magic. So she gets a +5 on this attack. I'm going to write, well, +5. I'm going to write that down. Raga, 1d6 plus 5. And the peasant's armor class is 10. So we just need a 5 on this roll. And she gets a 7. So she hits the heroic warrior. Oh, I skipped a step here. Hold on. These heroic, the calendar says that these heroes may be well known as figures from history and legend. A history, that would be intelligence for us. An intelligence check reveals key parts of their story. Attacks against that ghost have advantage. So we can roll to see if any of our characters know anything about any of these guys. I suppose the way this is written makes me think all 4 of our characters are supposed to do checks about all 3 of these soldiers. But let's just do one roll. We'll do it like the group thing. Who has the best wisdom? Araga has +2. So it's going to be Araga. Does Araga? You know what? We'll do it with the ones that are closest. So does Araga know anything about this guy? 19. She does. So I made a silly table. Araga, she recognizes this as Sir Bartholomew the Tepid, and she knows that he died. He took 7 magic missiles to the throat in his final battle, and so he knows that this ghost is particularly vulnerable. Maybe in the taunting phase, she points that out. She takes a point of damage, but she also now, because she has this check, attacks against that ghost have advantage. The calendar seems to imply that that's from everybody, but let's for sure. Iraga has advantage against this guy. That just means we would have rolled 2 20s, and she hit him anyway, so it doesn't matter. But we've got advantage against this soldier. Now, finally, let's do some damage to this guy. Or so we're gonna roll a d6, and because this Dawnblade is holy, we're gonna roll 2 d6s. That's what happens when a creature is vulnerable in Dungeons and Dragons. That's what it means. I believe that is the same in Shadowdark. So we're gonna roll 2d6, and let's see, damage wise, it's the same thing. +5, I believe. +3 from a strength attack, +1 because it's a melee attack, and +1 because it's a holy. So 2d6 +5. 8 + 5 is 13. And the peasant only has 4 health. Maybe I shouldn't have scaled these down, because she just took out this warrior with 1 hit. And she's suitably impressed by the Dawnblade. And so is everyone else, I believe. Now, does Iraga make the connection that the damage is from holy damage? Because Iraga has the spell Holy Weapon. The weapon becomes +1 magic for 5 rounds. It's holy weapon, so it's holy damage. So I think that would be a natural yes. I think her next move would be to try to cast holy weapon on at least Martin, because he's close. On his weapon, I think she has to actually touch the weapon. So, and then we'll need a counter for 5 rounds, but she can't do that till her next turn. In the meantime, Martin doesn't have really any. He's got 2 daggers, so he could throw one, but I think he gets a bonus to backstab. So his inclination is to try to get out of sight of these guys. This guy's taken care of. This guy has line of sight sort of here, right to where he is, so he could step this way. This guy's closer. I think he would, and that's a wizard. This guy is looking tougher and a little crazier. This guy's scary too, but yeah, I don't know where Martin would move. He's not going to move into the open here. Oh, well, He's far enough. This guy's within. This guy's actually in the darkness. They might not even know that he's there. They probably heard that he's there. The light from the campfire only extends here, and Araga's light only extends here. So Martin's actually in the darkness. These guys can see in the dark. The players cannot. So, where does Martin move? I think he would instinctively move against the wall here. Well, he's moving into her torchlight, though. There's a wall here where Zaldini is. Martin, they can move. How far can they move? 30 feet, but they're not going to move into the darkness. Does Martin light a torch? I think he's going to stay on the edge of the light here. So, and because he can't necessarily see this one up here, he would move to keep this guy in view, and also, if he could, block some line of sight. So I think he would move like to here, keep the wall between him. But there he is. Okay, Jorben, I think that would be a natural. He would close, but let's do Zaldini because I think he's just gonna unleash on this guy. He's close enough to the light. He's just on the edge of the light. He can see him. Zaldini's just gonna let loose with, what does Zaldini have? We've got Burning Hands, but that's too close. Or the soldier's far too far away for Burning Hands. Charm Person's not gonna work on Undead, so Magic Missile. Zaldini unleashes a Magic Missile, which reminds me, does Zaldini know anything about this guy? I don't know. This is silly. 18, he does. Alright. The party recognizes, or at least Zaldini does, this fella as well. A hero of yore. And what was the deal with this guy? He drowned alone in an underwater cave after his torch ran out. So, in the taunting phase, Zaldini offered up this tidbit of information, and I don't know, somehow convinces him he's magic missiles made. So we're gonna send him back to his watery grave. So he gets advantage on this attack. Here's my other 20. He already gets advantage actually for magic missile. That's just the way magic missile works in this game. So we roll with advantage. 4 is our best roll. That's not great. Our spell casting modifier is intelligence, so that's a 7. But I needed 11 for that to actually work. So magic missile fails despite rolling with advantage. And in Shadowdark failures, do we roll a mishap? I know we do on critical failures. I think we actually roll a mishap here. Yeah, spell failure. The spell does not take effect, and you can't cast that spell again until you complete a rest. So that stinks. So Zaldini right off the bat, his magic missile fails so badly that he can't use it again until he figures out what went wrong. So that's Zaldini's turn. Jorben is gonna close and engage this warrior. So, we're going to roll, let's see. Jorben's just going to hit him with his Great Axe. The Great Axe is going to do, he's got a +4 to hit with his Great Axe because he's got a +3 strength, and he's got weapon mastery with the axe. He's holding a shield as well, so he's holding a torch. He's holding the torch in one hand, and so he's only wielding the Great Axe with one hand. So we're going to do the 1d8 damage instead of the 1d10. Why is there a +1 here? Did I do that wrong with the damage on... Maybe the bonus only attacks... The bonuses, I think I did that wrong with Iraga. Iraga would have killed that guy anyway. Pretty sure. But the bonus only applies to the attack, not... She doesn't get her full bonus on the damage. So same for Jorben here. He'll get +4, +3 from his strength, and +1 from weapon mastery on the attack, but he only gets the +1 on the damage if he hits. So let's see if he hits. I'm rolling 2 20-sided die because Zaldini pointed out this guy's fatal flaw. Two nines. 9 plus 4 is 13. The peasant stat block armor class is 10, so he hits. And we're going to do 1d8 plus 1 damage. 5 plus 1 is 6. And that peasant is, that heroic warrior is sent back to the grave. Okay, we're left with the wizard. Everybody's gone. The wizard goes. The heroic wizard. I'm using the cultist stat block. So I'm keeping two things though about these guys from the stat block in the adventure. One is their vulnerability to radiant or holy damage. The other is they have this ability to step into the fog at the perimeter of this scenario and reappear anywhere they like, really. And so what does the cultist do? He can attack with a long sword, but he's also got Death Touch, which is a wisdom spell, which is pretty serious. And we've got some guys right on the edge, so he can easily reach, what's his move? Probably 30 feet, 10, 20, 30. So he could reach Zaldini. Zaldini has taunted him. Or no, he was taunting Zaldini. Does he go after the wizard? Or does he go? I think we're just gonna roll. Who does he go after? I don't think he can see Martin. No, I think he can. Is there a wall here? There's a broken wall there. So I think he can see. He can't really see Iraga. He can't really see Jorben. So he would go, and Martin is far enough away. Martin might be well enough in the shadows. I think he goes after Zaldini. So this could be pretty devastating. So the wizard moves 30 feet, 10, 20, 30, closes with Zaldini, and it's fairly harrowing charge. And Zaldini's still reeling from his failed magic missile attack, and this heroic wizard of yore, now an undead ghost, casts Death Touch wisdom spell, DC 12. Here we go. 7. Does he get any bonuses on his spell casting? 7 plus 2 is 9. He does not. He fails. His Death Touch fails. And, following the Shadowdark rules, he can't cast it again until he rests, I believe. And so, that would have done 2d4 damage, which could have killed Zaldini. But it doesn't. Okay, next round. Does Iraga... We had Iraga go first last time. So I think we'll just stick with that order. Does she bother to try to cast Holy Weapon on anybody else, or does she just close with this guy and come in swinging? I think she would just go after him, especially after success with that guy. So she closes on the warrior and on the wizard, and swings the Dawn Blade. Iraga, where is Iraga? I think we said it was +5. She gets +3. +1 because she's a half orc, and +1 because it's magic. So, and do we know about this guy? I don't think we rolled Iraga. Does anybody know anything about this guy? Natural 1. Nope, we don't know any vulnerabilities against this guy. So we're just gonna roll to attack. That's a 6 plus 5 is 11. The cultist has an AC of 14. So no, she misses with her Dawn Blade. Now, does she use the luck token at this point? I don't think so. Well, they don't know. They don't know that anything else is going to happen, so I think she would. So Iraga goes ahead and uses the luck token to reroll, and 15, that hits. Okay, and the Dawn Blade does, we decided 1d6 plus 1 because it's magic, and plus 1 because she's a half orc, so 1d6 plus 2, and they're vulnerable to holy damage, so 2d6 plus 2 is 9, 11. The cultist has 9 hit points, and the cultist goes down. Okay. The calendar says there are several minutes. There's enough time for, in Dungeons & Dragons terms, a short rest, which is like half an hour. So there's plenty of time for these guys to recover and try to figure out what happened and discuss this find of the Dawnblade, and perhaps Martin hopes that Araga forgets about the bag of coins. But this video has gone on just single encounter. There's 2 more encounters, and how long is the video? We're at 41 minutes already before I even. So I think I'm going to stop here, edit this down a little bit, and sometime soon play the next 2 encounters, the Dream Gangers and the Nightmare Dragon. And we'll try to move a little quicker, I think. So, we'll see how the next 2 encounters go. But in any case, we will play again soon. And if you're playing along, I'd love to hear how this is going for you in the comments. And but until then, friends, keep your lanterns lit and your hearts warm. Thanks for watching.